Hey, you guys, it's Ben Cecchini with Give and Grow here with another episode of the Give and Grow podcast. This is specifically a part of our social emotional learning series where we're going to be breaking down some tips and some tricks to help you with your kids, with your students, whether you're a parent, teacher. We're here to support you all. So, super excited to announce our guest today, Kamelah Williams, social emotional learning coordinator, youth coach, and mentor. And she's facilitated different groups on conflict resolution, bullying, self esteem, and growth mindset. So, super excited to pick your brain today, Kamelah, and have you on the show. How's it going?
Thank you for having me so much. I'm so appreciative, so blessed to be here. How you been doing?
Doing good, doing good. Excited to jump in some of these questions. So, the first one that I have for you, Kamelah, is just like short and sweet. Like, can you explain what social emotional learning is for the people that might be new to it and why it's so important for young kids?
Yeah. So if you're looking on the internet, you'll definitely see it's about just handling your emotions, handling your emotional intelligence, understanding how to make better, responsible decisions. And I think just like when I sit here and explain it, I'm like, you have to learn how to just really channel that, especially in social settings. So
Mhm.
understanding just like, we go from like to like when you're at the like with waiters or like the restaurants or at work at school, just making sure like you're in tune with yourself emotionally to make sure like it doesn't affect like your things like socially. So I kind of keep it short
Mhm.
like that.
Like it, like it. There we go. I really appreciate that. And like for you being a social emotional learning coordinator, like why are you excited about it? Why are you passionate about this? And yeah, just want to know a little bit more about you and why this matters to you.
Definitely. Like when I first got the role at my job, it's like more like a curriculum based as far as just we use the National Fatherhood Institute, so we have a curriculum as far as like processing your emotions, self-esteem, bullying, relationship with dad. So and then like within that, that starts to like definitely roll into my social emotional learning. As far as like my passion, definitely be the kids. When you work with the kids and you get to like they'll come up. Miss, they never know my name. They like Miss Cam, Miss Cam. I'm like, yeah, hi. It ranges. Everyone is from. I work with the second graders to 12th graders, and definitely being able to see them grow. I only specifically work with boys, but like as far as like my actual job, but I interact with the girls as well. So I definitely have like experience with both the girls and the boys, but I definitely can sit here and say it really is the kids that make it worthwhile. And they
Mhm.
come to you and you get to see them kind of trust you more and they take in what they like kind of like what you say for you like you're if they're like for example, I think my best way that I teach these kids is if I have to I have an like a enrollment form I have to do. So like there's paperwork they have to do to kind of get started into the program. So I kind of take a small group. I think the first day I did, no one warned me. No one warned me. I tried to do 25 little kids. Ah, I'm like, I asked the director, I was like, director, why you didn't warn me? He's like, yeah, you want to learn. I was like, oh, no one warned me. I said, look, we got to do 15 max. And this is a lot for one person. I'm sitting here thinking at the moment, I'm trying to get their names because we have to, like if you work with nonprofit, if you don't got no documentation, it did not happen.
Yeah.
And so I had names like written down, and I'm like, sit down and this. I'm like, what's your name? And I was like, woo! I was like, ooh, and I was like, see, my teachers are up and leaving. I get it a little bit. I was like, let me start appreciating teachers a little bit more. You start
Uh-huh.
to understand. And when you're in this environment, you will truly understand. And but when I work with the smaller kids, not the smaller kids, but smaller groups, they definitely appreciate that more. And the
Mhm.
best way that I kind of coach them on social emotional learning is they're boys. So they're like picking and fighting, they're joking, and it's like
Mhm.
so the biggest thing I do is like, okay, if I'm speaking, like let's say I'm speaking and we're talking and they're talking, I was like, hey, so I'm making up some names. Be like, Tim. I was like, Tim, do you see me speaking? I was like, they're like, yes. I was like, isn't it rude that if I'm speaking, you be speaking? I'm like, yes. They'd be like, yes, because you wouldn't want me to speak while you're speaking. Yes, so we're gonna be quiet, right? Just kind of, and they're like, okay, I get it. I get it, Miss Cam. And so
Mhm.
just like definitely in those situations where it's just, as far as like, yeah, you have a lessons plan and you're like you're teaching them, but I think in those moments when you're
Mhm.
actually implementing what like real life, because real life is you're gonna have conversations with people. Like you could be talking and I'm talking. How are we gonna get anywhere? If I
Mhm.
like that's just rude. I want to talk while you're speaking. You want to like talk while I'm speaking. And that understanding that like that's and I say like, hey, that's a little bit rude. And I also be like, hey, we see Johnny speaking as well too, right? Okay,
Right.
so when Johnny was speaking, he was quiet. When you were speaking, Johnny wasn't talking. And so in those moments they understand. And I think that's what helps them to kind of like learn, okay, just what social emotional learning is, learning that is
Hmm.
rude and learning about empathy, learning about, hey, I don't want no one to talk when I'm talking, so I have to
Right.
display the other. Because you cannot ask for something if you're not in a position to receive it or do
Hmm.
it. You cannot receive something if you're not in a position to do it. So
Hmm.
it works both sides. And
Yeah,
so definitely the kids, them kids will keep you on your toes,
for sure.
okay? You
For
ain't got to
sure.
close out the way to keep you on there.
I really appreciate you. First of all, like that is the motivation. I think for any parent that's looking to learn more about social emotional learning or teachers that want to like dive deeper and support their students in that way, it's the students that are the motivation. It's wanting them to grow and be kind and loving and healthy and have friends, all those things. That's the motivation I think for all of us. So I appreciate you sharing that piece of it. And then also, like, what was coming to mind as you're sharing, like, okay, you might have a curriculum that you're trying to get to. Social emotional learning are those little challenges along the way. And I had a moment with my basketball group the other day where it's like, hey, we're working on a drill, we're trying to improve a skill and compete. And then all of a sudden comes in, you know, don't take that shot. Like one of the kids yelling at another kid, and then another kid after that one, you're not him. And it turns into this bullying, coming at the kid. And obviously we have these curriculums that we're trying to get to as teachers, as facilitators, as coaches. And those are the true moments where it's like we really do get to stop and shift the focus to, okay, this is the this is a social emotional learning moment. This is a social skill moment. And I think that has been a powerful learning that I've had. Like, okay, the goal is going to stay there, but can we pause when it's time for the goal to shift to these internal skills, these soft
Mhm.
skills, these mental emotional skills?
Exactly. I think when you were mentioning that it reminded me of the situation where I play with my kids all the time. They're one of this little group I just finished. I was playing Connect Four with them because I was finishing a little small group. So I gave the kids who were done Connect Four so they can just play with something. And so one of the kids, let's call him Malcolm. Malcolm was getting really frustrated by like everyone else talking, and this kid beat me, 6 years old, beat me in Connect Four. I was like, oh, I got cooked by a 6 year old. I was like, okay, we can get some extra snacks for that. I was like, he had me at a double whammy, like no matter what I did. I was like, oh, I was like, wait, but because he had six in a row, and I think the kid with the other kid was getting frustrated by that. So I like one by one people kept leaving, and then so I had with Malcolm, he wanted to play again, so I was like, okay, I can play again. He was getting really frustrated by that, and just like frustrated by like all the outside noises and this person. So I was like, okay. So he asked, let's say Johnny, to stop talking. Can you get him to stop talking? I was like, hey Johnny, can you please stop talking? So everyone's kind of leaving, and then I'm giving everyone their snacks. I told Malcolm just to stay back with me, and I talked to him. I was like, hey, do you know what the word mental toughness is? And I said, I'm just gonna explain it to you. I said, when you grow up, I would love for people to sit there and be like not kind, but sometimes we have to be tough enough that when people do get in our like face, we have enough to be like, hey, because it's unfortunate, but adults are meaner. Like some adults
Mm,
are just like they don't have that. So teaching like yes, teaching them at the time, with especially with your basketball, hey, these are your teammates. You have
mhm,
to encourage them, but then also on top of that, sometimes we also have to prepare for them to be like, look, you're
mhm,
also going to have to have confidence within yourself that if no one else believes you, you believe you. And I think
mhm,
that's also part of social emotional learning because you have to have faith because there's like something disruption within themselves that gets
mhm,
projected out. So they're angry, they're fighting on time. What's inside them? And so when
mhm,
I'm telling him like about mental toughness, I was like, hey, mental toughness is even if everyone's making all the distraction in the world, you have that inner focus. I said, you see how I was talking because on top of me playing, I was helping someone else. I was like, you saw how I was doing two things. Sometimes you're
mhm,
gonna have to be in a position to focus, not to say like try to give him like multitasking, but like no matter what, when I was playing with you, I was focused on that and I was helping him with that at the same time and just being able to be like in that space where I can really handle what I need to handle. And so
Hmm.
definitely when you have mentioned that, I was like, I just like it just kind of brought to my brain that situation. And I think just teaching him about that, like you're gonna have to just learn to just trust yourself.
Hmm.
Because like that's
Hmm.
just what it starts with yourself. I can't do it for you. I was like,
Yep.
I believe you, but if you don't believe yourself, it really is all bets off. Like it just
Mm.
starts with you. And so
Hmm.
definitely that was like, because that's just where it was. Because it's like we're gonna have moments where people are not gonna believe us. We're gonna have moments where people are distracting us. We're gonna have moments like it's gonna happen. What do
Hmm.
you do in that situation? Do you have enough confidence in yourself to take it the next step further and know that
Hmm.
I can do it? I know I can do this when people are speaking down on you. And I think that's
Hmm.
also part of like again social emotional where we can control ourselves despite what anybody else will say
Yep.
about us. That's how people get. That's where LeBron got. That's where Kobe got. That's where
Uh-huh.
Mike got. Like they have to believe in themselves because if you don't believe in yourselves, truly, where we're gonna go.
Mm-hmm. 100%. Really appreciate you sharing that story. I love the like what I hear in you just like reminiscing on that is your power as a motivator, right? As this adult who has this bigger picture in mind, knowing that hey, down the pipeline, these other adults, these other teenagers, like they're going to be distracting you. They're going to be trying to put you down. There's going to be challenges and adversities that you face, and I think that's a great reminder for this young kid that you were speaking with, like of the resiliency that it's going to take, of the self awareness that it's going to take, right? Like, I can't control that outside of me, but I can control myself. That takes awareness and then action, really. So, really appreciate you sharing back on that. I got another question for you, Kamelah. Um, what's something that you like would like to remind parents of that would support them with and their children when emotions get challenging and chaotic, or there might be a situation like that? Like, what's a reminder or tip that you have for parents out there?
I think the biggest reminder I have to use myself is it's actually a verse. Like when I was having trouble with the kids, we expect results now. And I realized patience is really what's gonna get us far. So this verse that I think like my faith is important, right? So this is
Mm.
the verse. I know everyone's like with that, but I'm just gonna say the verse. It says it's First Corinthians 3:6. I have planted, Apollos watered, but God gave it increase. And so we say when we tell parent, not when whoever's speaking to you, whether it be a parent, whether it be a teacher, a mentor, a lot of stuff that we've learned, I can think back to memories where people have told me like years ago. And
Mm.
it wasn't until life that hits that, oh. So for example, let's say like I think we all heard the saying, misery loves company.
Mm.
And a lot of the kids they get the like intelligence part. Like they're not, I don't think these kids have the intelligence. But it isn't until life, like when I've heard this my whole life. And it wasn't until when I like walked into college and had roommates where I was like, oh, I really do see what people are saying about that. I really actually do. Like, and I use those moments, and I think there was this one example with my teacher. He explained something. This was like in seventh grade. It was about history, and this kid was like saying like he did something as far as it doesn't even matter. But point is, he did something and about your history and how you present yourself. And I even taught this to my kid when he was having trouble, like why my teachers don't believe me. I was like, well, because you're like your history. So the point I get to his message is having patience and knowing that we have to remember that we also were these kids too.
Mm-hmm.
Like when I hear these kids, I was like, is this what we used to argue about? Like
Mm-hmm.
this is now you get as adults like, oh, like this is what we used to argue about. It's so funny. It's like,
Uh-huh.
wow, this really wasn't important. But kind of having that moment is like we also like our parents couldn't expect these same results because it's just sometimes like we're 12, we're 6, we're 15. We don't have as much life experience now, like back then as we do now, which is why we could understand certain things. So I definitely, but the
Mm-hmm.
point of the verse is like I planted, meaning I talk to my kids, I plant that seed. They remember these kids a lot of stuff that we
Mm-hmm.
remember a lot of stuff we said. And now instead of this one viewpoint that they have, now they have the competing viewpoint. And eventually with life will mature that viewpoint and be like, then they'll start to
Mm-hmm.
understand, oh, I see why my mom said this when I was growing up. I
Mm-hmm.
see why my mom didn't allow me to go to everyone's house. So I definitely think that patience is the most important thing
Mm-hmm.
that we can't expect like immediate results. Certain things I'm not saying
Right.
don't have boundaries. I would never say. I think that's also a part of social emotional learning. We have to learn how to sit here and say no to,
Hmm.
our kids, because life is going to teach them about no. How are
Hmm.
they going to handle when they get a no? A lot of
Hmm.
kids just don't know how to handle that. But what I'm saying here is when we're teaching or we're learning, understanding, like, it's going to take some time. And I think another tip would be, honestly, one thing that helped me is when someone's like doing a bad behavior, I kind of ask them a question like, why do you do that? And maybe they just, let's say like, they just don't know. Like they truly just don't know. So when they sit here explaining what they think that means, I'm like, oh, that's not the definition of that. Let me explain it
Hmm.
to you. And so then that kind of helps instead of like barking, like, you should do this, you should do that. Just be like, all right, let's take a step back. Why are you doing this behavior?
Hmm. Question.
And maybe that will help them, that will help you to understand. I see, because you truly actually think it's this when it's actually that. And I explain it to you, oh mom, I get it. I thought I was doing that. And then, and then I had did that before with one of the kids, and I had asked him a question and he just thought something completely different. And I'm like, I can't blame you because you're only about 7, 8.
Yeah.
You don't
Yeah.
know much. So
Uh-huh.
let me tell you what it is. And then it that kind of creates behavior a little bit. And then on top of that, it's just patience. Patience, it helped me to like
Mhm.
calm down because sometimes you be wanting to shake up, be like,
Yeah.
what's that clicking? What's that
For
clicking,
real.
Stephen?
For real. I think, as you're talking about patience, it's reminding me of like what we discussed earlier in the conversation of like, you might have this goal. You might want the kid to be here, to be able to handle a no amazingly, to be able to do X, Y, Z. Can we have patience with them? Can we unattach from that goal and meet them where they're
Yeah,
at? Like we still have that goal
exactly.
for them. We want them to be a kind person. We want them to be able to, do their multiplication or get A's and like whatever it is, whatever our goals are as parents, as teachers, can we be
Yeah,
patient, meet them where they're at? And then I love the other piece to that is ask them questions, not just telling them all the time what exactly it is that they're meant to do, or reprimanding them, for not doing it
yeah,
right. Can we ask those deep questions to get to know them better and then support them from
yeah.
there? Thank you, Kamelah, for
Mhm.
that. Um, okay, like this is the favorite question that I had for you today. What are some ways to like praise children effectively so that they feel confident without becoming overly like reliant on external validation?
Something that I do, definitely, I think it's just simple stuff, keeping it simple. Like, I'm proud of you. This one kid, he came to me and he had, I guess, let's say he had a 5 on his FSA. Like, that's like the standard testing for Florida, FSA. And then I was like, okay, what else because there's reading, science, and something else. Yeah, I think it's those three: reading, math, and science. Okay.
Hmm.
So he had a 5 on his math and then maybe like a 2 on his reading and let's like, and 3. I said, okay. Because he had the 5 on his science, I gave him a snack. I was like, okay, you know what, you did really good. He came to me. I didn't know. I totally forgot about the FSA. I graduated. I was like, ah, I put high school a long time ago. So he came and he said it. I said, okay. So I challenged him. I was like, you when I come back, I was like, when's your next FSA? I was like, okay, keep your same score, give me 3s in reading, and I'm gonna give you your snack. And it's like, I know you can do it. And I sent him on his way. He's like, okay. I think in those moments, challenging them and then telling them they can do it, it helps.
Mm.
Because it like I tell my kids all the time, like, I don't do mediocrity. I know you guys can do it. When I ask my kids
Hmm.
about their grades, like, I know you guys can do more. So definitely just, to me, it's just simple stuff as far as just like saying, I know you can do it.
Hmm.
Especially when it comes to like, I know you can.
Yeah.
And one kid, he was really like, when my first lesson, I know we had like 2 minutes. I'm trying to like wrap it up.
Nah, nah,
Um,
worry.
okay. One of the kids, one of the kids, he was really, he's like, I'm talking about, he was on it. He's probably about 8. And I'm like, let me tell you something. And I told him, I said, let me explain something to you. Don't let no one ever tell you. I'm looking in his eyes, he's looking at me, he's like taking it. I'm like, no one ever tell you not being smart is a good thing. You continue to do what you do, okay? And because one of the kids, not that they were bullying him or like making fun of him, But I can see sometimes people can get like have a sense of jealousy that they're not at the level where some people are, and they like to project that on people. And so
Mm-hmm.
I was kind of with the kid with the mental toughness, kind of forewarning, look, you may have some people who are going to encourage you, but like this, and you may have some people who project that on you. I didn't explain
Mm-hmm.
that part to him because I'm like, he don't need to know
Yeah.
all that. He'll get
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
But I was like, look, you continue to do what you're doing. You continue to read. You continue that. And I'm telling you, he looked at me like he was taking that all in. Like I
Mm-hmm.
was like, look, that's a good thing. That's a great thing. I was like, I wish I needed that. And I
Mm-hmm.
think definitely telling the kids like maybe some of the struggle points that they had and like you're doing better than me helps them. And it's like, because again, they look at an adult like, oh, they know the world. And when you tell them, I actually don't, it
Mm-hmm.
helps them to be like, it helps them like have a sense of relatability with you and to try
Mm-hmm.
to and, like break the walls, but also knowing like, wow, like I can continue to grow with this. Like she struggled and like I got this better with like, than her at that level. So I can continue to grow and grow and grow. But definitely just sometimes you just got to see kids where they're at and just
Mm-hmm.
speak life into them. Like
Yeah.
literally speak life into them. Even when they're down, look,
Mm-hmm.
I tell these kids, hey, I've been there before. I was not the
Mm-hmm.
most confident person, but you see his confidence now. It's achievable, but you
Uh-huh.
have to be able definitely speaking life into these kids because I wish I
Mm-hmm.
had like life spoken to me a little bit and just these
Yeah.
small little moments. It don't take the grand gestures. It takes a small little moment. A simple, I'm
Mm-hmm.
proud of you, and you can do it.
Yeah.
Will satisfy a kid. They'll day will be brightened. They'll be like,
Yeah.
you can't. I was like, can you? I was like,
Uh-huh.
I believe in it. Can
Yeah.
you? Now you. I was
Uh-huh.
like, say it. I can do it. They're like, I can do it. No, I can't. What's that? You're not
Uh-huh.
saying anything. I can't hear you. I need you. I
Yeah.
need to hear you. I'm like, because I need them to believe that. But so
Yeah.
that's my simple little praise, and then like
Yeah.
definitely look, and I also make sure they know like, hey, people may not be there for like not people there for you,
Mm-hmm.
but you gotta. That's the ultimate thing.
Yeah.
Definitely reminding them, you, it's you. You can do it.
Yes. Kamelah, thank you so much. I kind of just want to like recap, make sure I'm dropping these in, like keeping it simple. Like it doesn't need to be like gassing them up, like constantly pumping with them. I think that's where they might like rely on it a little too much. It's keep it simple. You got
Yeah.
this. I'm proud of you. Boom. The simple little thing. I also love the piece of just challenging them. Not making it easy on these kids, like whether they're your own or your students, like continuing to challenge them and add in the believing piece. Now they're going to be achieving a level up from what they thought they could do. Even though it's challenging, you got this. You can keep going. Like, I believe in you. Like I think
Yeah.
that's really what's going to like you're suggesting here, it's really going to build confidence. It's really going to empower kids to be like, here's a challenge, go get it, you got it. um
Exactly.
so beautiful. Are there any other like resources or encouragement for parents and teachers out there before we head out for today?
I think I've like said it. It's just I really do believe in the power of like patience and just knowing things just do take time and really just
Mhm.
asking questions. I feel like that's what worked for me. And also top of that, parents just tell your kids what you used to do. I feel like sometimes we like to act all, sanctified and stuff, but
Uh-huh.
sometimes you got to tell your kids, hey, I was on the struggle bus too.
I love that.
And I didn't have it all together, but
Hmm.
and I feel like that will start to break that wall and that will bring that trust because
Yeah.
again, like kids, when I sit here tell you, when I tell them, I was like, y'all want to hear one of my stories? He's like, yeah, yeah, yeah. They loved it. Love hearing that because it builds trust and it's like and now these
Mhm.
kids, they're like, oh, I like the little tea. Like that's the new slang,
What they
ooh,
say,
tea.
what
I was
they
like, ooh,
say.
they say, ooh, especially with the girls. The girls are like, ooh, clock that tea. So they'll be like, clock
Oh,
that tea,
yep,
Mr.
yep.
Ben.
Yep.
If you work with girls and you like, oh, you're like, what you say, Mr. Ben? Definitely, but definitely, it's just, I would say definitely, I feel like talking with your kids sometimes as far as just breaking that wall as a parent. Not
Yeah,
like I said,
being
not to say
vulnerable.
it's to be vulnerable with them. Not to say they don't need discipline. I'm a huge advocate for discipline. I have taken their snacks away. I'm like, look, hey, because they're gonna have to, like life's gonna tell them no. So
Hmm.
I have to help them. Like I can't reward bad behavior,
Hmm.
but I've been there before, which is why I got myself taken away. So I'm
Hmm.
only doing this. I want you guys to grow. And I said, like with the kids, I'll be like, when they go, I'll be like, I'll tell them, hey, you have to leave a little bit. I'll be like, but next time I see you, you're gonna be better, right? They're like, okay, yeah, I
Hmm.
will. They'll be asking me, can I come back? I'm like, okay, next time I need you to be better.
Hmm.
And they kind of get, and they usually are better because they're like, oh, I got kicked out. I don't like this
Right.
feeling. I'm like, and I tell them part of like with the encouraging part, which is, all right, next time you're gonna be better, right?
Hmm.
They'll be like, yeah, all right, you gotta go. At that
There
moment,
we
I
go.
gotta stay. But I think that would be my tip as far as with like the parents. I'm not a parent. And sometimes the parents be like, what did you know about parenting? And I'm like, look, I'm not saying I do, but I'm
Right.
just
Just
saying,
throwing stuff out there.
this is what works with my kids and stuff.
Yeah. Thank you so much for your time today. Is there any place that like people can find you, like social media, like anything like that?
Anything I would say is LinkedIn. I wish I don't have an Instagram. I deleted it for my mental health, and then I kind of got rid of social media a little bit. I think that's another thing too. Social media is a dangerous place. I was sit here and
Mhm.
say that, with parents, maybe just make sure you check on their social media because that's where insecurity starts to grow. And even with adults, I'm 24. Excuse me,
Mhm.
I'm 25. My birthday was 15. So I'm
Hey,
25,
nice,
and I
nice.
had
Happy
to
birthday.
thank you. And even I had to, leave, Instagram a little bit. So definitely kind of maybe check with Instagram and like with their social media and letting them know, hey, especially especially with young women and men too. I think both sides, just hey, social media is not a real thing. And like
Mm,
I said, it's not gonna click. But as they get older, they're gonna start to understand, hey, it's you're seeing the glamorization of everyone's life. But I do
mhm.
not have any social media.
All good.
I don't. The only thing I have is LinkedIn. Shoot, I forgot my LinkedIn name.
We'll share that. I have the link, so we'll share that
Please
in the
share that
comments.
LinkedIn
Yeah,
and
no
please connect
worries.
with me. Please,
Yeah.
I would love any connections, and I'm so thankful that you had me here. And I'm not gonna lie, I was a little intimidated as well too. It's like, what do I know? But I think like I said, speaking with life into these kids, I had to speak life into myself. Like I can do this. I probably have something or one or two things to share that could probably
Yeah.
help somebody. I don't need to have like the
100%.
master college and the doctors to sit here and say something. But I think the way I'm able to connect with my kids and I'm able to see them grow, I've been able to manage some kids' grades high. I had one
Yeah.
kid that had like a 50. Now she got a C. I was like,
Yeah,
right before,
let's
like 2 weeks
go.
before her grade. And I was like, hey, I don't know how I did it, but I did it because I was like, I can't let her bring the F home to her. I was
Nope.
like, your parents killed you. But no social media outside of LinkedIn, but please connect with me for those who are watching. I would love to connect.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, yeah, thanks for everybody for tuning in today. Kamelah, thank you so much once again for your time, for speaking life into this podcast today. Just really appreciate you and your energy and all the work that you're doing with your kids and your community. So thank you so much.
Thank you.